Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode here on African Confessions. The following story that you're going to be listening to, it comes from a translation of a message that I received. The translation of that message, it reads like this. I really cannot take it anymore. I never thought that my life would become so painful, and I never thought that it would be so hard to be with everything that I went through when I did the money-making rituals. Each and every night, I do hear them. I do hear these demons. These demons will be speaking to me. I hear demons and I see witches. If there are witches that are passing through the place where I am staying, I will see them because of the charms that I used when I was doing money-making rituals. They do laugh at me. Why will they be laughing at me, these witches that will be passing through the place where I am staying? Simply because they will mock me after I would have prayed, for they know that even if I pray, the situation will never change. So they will come and stand close to my bedroom. Usually they do this really late at night, even 3 a.m. I can hear their voices. They will stand right next to my bedroom window, laughing at me, knowing that my prayers will never reach heaven. Whenever they do that, it becomes so scary. I can even see a snake. Whenever I see this snake, then I will know that it is time for me to see my mother's ghost. I do see shadows that will be moving along the walls when no one is there, only me in the bedroom. I can see shadows as they will be dancing on the walls. I can even see things that most of the people think that they do not even exist. Worst of all, I see the spirit of my dead mother. She was the one that I used when I performed these money-making rituals. She never rests. She follows me. She haunts me. Wherever I go to, she will always find the time to follow me, to persecute me. So tonight, as I stepped inside my house before I had given you my confession, when I was getting into the house, that was when I hit my leg against the door frame. It was so painful. The pain, it was just too much. It shot through me like fire. That was when I remembered when I sat down and I said, it is because of that dream that I had. I had seen this dream before. Last night, in a dream, my mother, she came to me. She was holding a knife. She chased me, and when I fell down, that was when she looked at me with evil written all over her face. Then she started stabbing me right there in that spot where I just hurt myself. This is not a coincidence at all, but I know that it is a warning from my dead mother. She is angry, for I used her in money-making rituals. I am being haunted by the spirit of my mother. What is surprising me is that when we went to Mozambique to perform these money-making rituals, I was promised that there is no way that my mother will ever wake up again, because after she had died, I was given an instruction to go and put some nails by her grave, making sure that she will never be able to rise up again. My name, you can call me Yvonne, not my real name. I was born in Bulawayo, Zimbabwe. I then came to Johannesburg. When I came to Johannesburg, I was only 22 by that time. I was running away from poverty that I had left back home. I was quite unfortunate that my stepdad used to abuse me, and when I saw that my stepdad is abusing me, that was when I said it is far much better to find a man that I can date. I fell pregnant, so the guy that impregnated me, he was still staying with his parents, and then I went and I started staying with my husband's parents, and my father-in-law was also an abuser. He would wait for me to go into the bathroom. When I would be in the bathroom, then he would follow me in the bathroom and he would open the door, wanting to sleep with me. Even my husband, sometimes he would catch his father right in the act, looking at me when I will be naked. And then the father will not say anything. Even my husband will just pretend as if it was nothing that would have happened. I then ran away after I had given birth to my daughter. It hurt me a lot knowing that I had to leave my daughter in such a situation. But later on, when I had came here to South Africa, when I was working, that was when I sent my mom to go and collect my daughter, because I did not feel comfortable knowing that my daughter, she was staying in the same house with that abusive man who wanted to rape the mother. So when I came here, I had nothing. I literally ran here, and with nothing, even a suitcase. I did not even carry a suitcase from Zim coming back to South Africa. So when I came here, I wanted a better life. I told myself that, God, since in Zim things did not go according to plan, when I reach South Africa, please help me to get a rich man, a South African man who could take care of me. I wanted an easy life that my friends were living, because these are the friends of mine that I knew very well who were prostituting themselves in Joburg, and those were the girls that I was going to stay with. When I came at first, I tried the right way. My friend helped me to find a job as a waitress. So I was working as a waitress at this other Somalian-owned restaurant, but it was like a hell working at that restaurant. First of all, the hours that we used to work, they were quite long. The pay that we were getting, it was barely enough for me to pay for my rentals. This Somalian guy, he did not even respect time. If you were working for him, he will just come and pick you up and he will say, we are going to work right now. He did not even care at all. And working at that restaurant, it was hell, to tell you the truth. Those men, most of them who were our customers, they were either Ethiopian or Somalian customers. And what they could not understand was that if someone is working for your Somalian brother, it does not mean that you can become their prostitute and you have to give them free sex. That is what they wanted. Free sex from us, the girls that were working at that restaurant. A man would come to you and openly ask to sleep with you. If you refuse, they will leave you like that. Then they will say, waitress, water. When you would go to the table where they will be sitting, they will just say, can you give me sex? As if in a few minutes after they would have asked you if you can sleep with them and you would have said no, then your answer will magically change and you will say, yes, let us go and sleep together. My friends, whenever I would spend time with them at their apartments, I would see that their lives, they were okay. They were living good lives, but not me. One day, I went to this other friend of mine, whom I'll call Jane. So Jane was living in a fancy apartment. This apartment, even though her husband knew about this, was being paid for by her 3 blessers who knew about each other, who knew about their husband, but they did not even care at all. She only wore designer clothes. She would go and she would buy those expensive clothes. She will only wear the dress that she would have bought at such an expensive price only once, and then she will send it to her little sister who was back home in Bulawayo. She even had a blesser who had once told her to let her mother take a passport and come to South Africa. Her mother flew to South Africa, and then she took her mother, after she had been given money by the blesser, to go with her mother on a vacation to Cape Town. So I always wondered, how was she managing? Because when she wanted to spend a night with one of the blessers, she will tell her husband to go and stay at this other shack, which he was renting there by the locations. And the guy did not even mind, did not even care at all. So this girl, I could not understand what was going on. She was beautiful, she was married, yet she was dating all of these blessers. Her husband was not even rich, was just struggling in life. The guy was just surviving on piece jobs. He was nothing to her, more like a shadow in her life, whilst the rich blessers would even pick her up in front of her husband. She would get into the cars of her blessers without even feeling shame, since she was a married woman. She had a secret. Later on, she told me about this secret. At that time, I think that I should have just told myself that I am not supposed to listen to my friend when she said that she wanted to assist me. It was far much better to earn an honest living. At least maybe my mom will still be alive to this very day. One evening, I was so stressed. At that restaurant, there was a Somalian car dealer whom I had spoken with earlier on in the afternoon. He had came to eat at our restaurant, and then we spoke. Whilst we were having the conversation, he said that here, take this money. So I took the 300 rand from that Somalian guy, and he expected to have a night full of sex with me in return. So I accepted the money and I said it is fine. He told me that he was going to come to the location and pick me up so that we can go to his house. I said it was fine. When I knocked off, whilst I was back in the location, I was so stressed and I said, so God, this is where I am right now. For 300 rand, this guy, he wants to sleep with me throughout the night as if he has done something big for me. We are not even dating. That was when Jane came. She came over to the place where I was staying. She found me angry. She said, why are you angry? And I told her about what had happened and the guy that had given me 300 rand. And she laughed at me when I told her about the Somalian man. She said, 300 rands for the whole night. That's an insult. It is far much better that we go to the party. So when that Somalian guy called me and telling me that I should not disappoint him, for he had already gone and he had bought these other herbs that made him to get so strong and he was going to be so powerful throughout the night. So it turned out that after he had given me the money and when we had set up the date that we were going to sleep with each other throughout the night, he went and he bought what they call mpesu. He bought that so that he can have a heart erection. Can you just imagine? So when he was calling me and he was like, babe, you are now disappointing me. I just drank mpesu here. So what do you expect me to do? Because my manhood is so hard. You are the only one that can assist me. And I said, so you drank that mpesu simply because you gave me 300 rands. So I have to suffer throughout the night because your manhood, because you drank that mpesu. It is up to you. Do whatever that you can so that you can relieve yourself. And I switched off my phone. Jane, she picked me up at 8 p.m. and then we went to Sandton. I had never been in Sandton and I never thought that I'll ever be there because of the way that I was suffering. I found myself there in a very beautiful penthouse. There were a lot of men that were wealthy. You could tell that these men, they were wealthy. So we started drinking. I am someone that does not like to drink alcohol, but she encouraged me to drink, not to embarrass her. I just got tipsy. She thought that maybe I was drunk. She was also tipsy. She started talking. You know, when someone gets drunk, they will tell you all of their secrets. She was like, you are working too hard, Yvonne. There is a faster way to get rich instead of you working too hard at this restaurant. So I wanted to know more, but she was drunk. She stopped and she said, first let us drink. After that, that was when she whispered and she said, there is a blesser here whom I spoke with. That blesser said, this party is boring. Let us go to another joint. So this blesser was a rich old man. We went to his Mercedes Vito with other girls. We got into the bus and then he took us to another club. When we went to that club, then Jane and the other girls, they were drinking, just ordering your Hennessy's, different type of alcohol, and they were not even opening all the bottles that this old man was ordering. They were placing those expensive bottles into their handbags. And I asked her and she was like, it is for tomorrow for Babalas. Just stay quiet. Later on, when she was totally drunk, she came and she said, hey, Yvonne, you have to go with him. You have to go with him. He will give you money. And I said, go with him where? And she said, he said that he wants to go with you. So you need to treat this guy good because he was the one who was buying all of these drinks. And I did not drink anything. It was only a cocktail. I just had a few sips. So Jane wanted me to go and sleep with that man simply because of that cocktail. Yet they were the ones, she and other girls, they were busy drinking and finishing off all of his money. I did not want to embarrass her since I wanted her to help me later on. So I went with that old blesser. He took me to his place. He slept with me twice. In the morning, that was when he gave me 900. It felt so easy. No guy had ever given me 900 all at once. It felt good. I then took 600 rand and I sent it to my mother, and she was so thankful and grateful, so much that I felt so proud. And then when I arrived at work, that Somalian guy was so angry. He was like, "Hey, last night, why didn't you pick up your call? Why? Because I drank Mpeso and you did not want to help me." I said, "Here is your 300. Just leave me in peace." That guy, he did let me go. A week later, when I kept on calling Jane, I did not know where she was. She apologized to me and she told me that she had gone to Mozambique to renew her charms. She invited me to her apartment. When I arrived there, she was busy preparing a ritual, a black plastic dish filled with fresh milk. She had dozens of eggs that were lined up. We went back to Checkers and we bought more fresh milk and more eggs. We bought 10 dozens of eggs. We bought 10 of them. It was a lot. She then said, "I want you to help me." After filling that dish with the fresh milk, she said, "Here, you crack these eggs like this." Then she took this other clay pot and then she said, "We placed the empty eggshells into this clay pot." And I said it was fine. So we did that. When we were finished cracking all the eggs, and then she went to her bedroom, she came back naked. She only had a waist chain, but she was totally naked. She then said, "Let me go outside." She went to the braai area and then she burnt those eggshells. And after that, she took the ashes and then she bathed herself when she was on the lawn. And then she said, "Please help me." We lifted that plastic dish that was full of fresh milk and the eggs, and we took it to the lawn. She bathed. She sat there in that plastic dish, I can say, for about 30 minutes or so. She was soaking herself in the milk and eggs. Then she washed her lingerie in it before going back inside. I was confused. I did not even understand what was happening. That is when she said, "This is how I keep my spiritual beauty. This is why men give me their bank cards." She took one of her wallet and she showed me all the bank cards that were inside her wallet. She said, "I can never go broke because each and every blesser that I date will end up giving me a bank card that he loads money each and every month." All those bank cards, none of them had her personal name. And I said, "This is what I want in life." She looked at me and she said, "If you want it, I can see what I can do. If you do these rituals, rich men, they will worship you. They will give you cars, houses, anything you want. But you must first stop going to church." I knew that I wanted this life and I would never pray again. So I agreed, but I did not know that it was not only about milk. Because to me, I said milk and eggs, just to wash yourself with milk and eggs. That is the ritual that can make men come to you, those that are wealthy. In my mind, I did not want to go to parties each and every Saturday, Sunday with different blessers. I want one South African man, I told myself, who is going to marry me. Then I can have my papers, settle down and have kids with that guy. That was all that I wanted, but I did not want a regular South African. I wanted a wealthy man already. I did not want to suffer to start from scratch. So we traveled by bus to Mozambique. We went deep into the villages where we met the traditional healer. When we met this traditional healer, he asked me if I really wanted this. "Do you want money?" I said yes. After I had said yes, that was when he handed me a black book. This black book, he showed me that even Jane's name was written in that book. I said, "Why is her name written and why am I supposed to write my name?" After he said, "Here, take this, write your name." I hesitated, but Jane whispered to me and she said, "Chomi, write it. Otherwise, things are not going to work out for you. He won't assist you. Do you want to go back to that cheap Somalian restaurant where you were being abused?" So I took the book and I signed it. Then that was when the traditional healer came with a bottle. It was an empty bottle. And then he said I was supposed to strip myself. And I then removed the t-shirt that I was wearing. He took a razor and then with that razor blade, he cut me just underneath my breast and there was a lot of blood that was coming out. He then said, "Take this, make sure that the blood flows directly into this glass." So I was doing that And after that, he then took some herbs, rubbed them underneath my breast so that the blood stopped coming out. When he was done doing that, he then said, you need to hold it against your nose. As he was singing in Portuguese, he was holding it tightly, so much that I could not breathe anymore, because I was breathing directly into that glass until I could not breathe anymore. When I could not breathe, I tried to tell him that he was suffocating me, but he even pushed my nose more into the glass, so much that I felt much more suffocated and I fainted. When I fainted, I woke up after that, and then I saw that there was something that was inside the bottle that was moving. I saw that there was something small. It was a small creature. This small creature, it was breathing and it had human hair. When I looked at that thing, the small creature that was inside the bottle, as it was breathing, I saw that it was busy licking my blood, the blood that was inside that bottle. And then before the blood could get finished, the traditional healer was given a live rat. He slit its throat and he said, this is how you feed it. And then the blood was poured into the bottle. That thing kept on feeding and feeding. He then turned to me and he said, you need to remember this. This blood that we have placed inside that bottle, it is not a lot of blood. Very soon it will be finished. I say about a month, this blood will be finished. So your mother has to die. In this month, your mother has to die, because if she does not die, then you are going to get crazy. This thing is going to feed on you. When he told me about the blood of my mother, that was when I started shaking and trembling. My friend Jane, she went outside and left me to deal with that traditional healer. So I agreed, for it was already done. What else was I supposed to do? We then returned back to South Africa. I was then given a task to open a small salon, so I did. And I was reminded that I had to return back to Zim, for my mother was supposed to die. When I returned back to Zim, I then pretended as if I was a loving daughter. My mother at that time, she had left Bulawayo. She had gone back to the village where she was born in Cholocho. So I followed her there because I could not wait. She had gone to visit her relatives. I went and I collected her. When we were returning back to Bulawayo, she complained of a headache because we had hitchhiked this other vehicle. When we were inside that vehicle, she said, my daughter, it's like there is someone that is hitting me on the head with a stone. I am feeling so much pain. She complained of a headache, and I knew that the ritual, the sacrifice, had started. I then took her to the doctors at the hospital. A day later, she was dead. I could not even wait for her relatives because I calculated and I said, my mom has to be buried with 1 week, and in that week, I have to be back in South Africa to finish the rituals. Otherwise, that thing will eat my blood. So I could not even wait for her relatives. Since my mom and we used the same surname, I then just went to the mortuary, signed all the papers, and I had my mother buried without any of her relatives present. And when my uncle came from the village with my mother's relatives, they found out that the funeral was over and her body had been buried already. My uncle was so angry, and she was like, what did you do with my sister? Why did you bury her before we could arrive? Did I not tell you that we are coming to Bulawayo? What did you do? How can you bury someone with their relatives not being present? And I said, Uncle, here you are complaining. What made you to take so much time just to travel from Cholocho back to Bulawayo? Why did you take so much time? It was because you did not have money. Because if you had money, on that very same day, you were going to get onto the bus and you were going to come here in time. But you could not do that. If you did not have money, so who do you think was going to pay for the mortuary fees? Because look at all the bills that I had to pay. Can you afford to pay for the mortuary after your sister would have been in the mortuary for a couple of days? At that time, I was not even feeling guilty anymore. It was about me fighting for my own life. I then returned back to South Africa, and then I started working, and I started to get rich blessers. Everything that I would touch will turn to gold. Until last year, that was when things got so bad. Last year, when I was on my balcony, I fell asleep whilst I was there drinking some alcohol. Then I saw my mother in my dream. I saw my mother. She had climbed one of the trees that I have in my yard. So I said, "Mom, what are you doing in that tree?" Then she started singing. Even when I woke up, I could hear her voice. She was singing and she was saying, "Ngidinga igazi, ngidinga igazi, ngidinga igazi," as she was singing. But each and every time when she would sing, her voice would multiply as if it was now a chorus of the dead. I then ran back inside. Then I saw my mother. My mother, I saw her ghost. She was hanging upside down from the ceiling. I was in my bedroom by then. I screamed. I screamed so hard. That was when the neighbors came and they found me on the floor. So the neighbors asked me what had happened, and I told them that I had seen some armed robbers. Because I was drinking alcohol, they thought that maybe it was just a hallucination for the security. They looked at the cameras and the security cameras showed nothing. No armed robbers had entered into the complex. Now the problem is that I have to feed this bottle. It wants more blood. I spoke about it with my friend and I said, "But you never informed me that there was blood that was going to be needed. Now it wants the blood of my sister. I don't know what to do." When I spoke with Jane, this is what she said. "Just sacrifice your sister for once and move on with your life. What do you have to lose if your sister dies? What do you have to lose? Just sacrifice your sister and move on and enjoy life." She has since stopped calling me. She once blocked me on WhatsApp because I kept on asking her. Now I really do not know what am I supposed to do. I don't know what am I supposed to do. Please assist me. If there is anyone who can help me, I'll be grateful. Dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to me by one of our sisters. That was the translation of the message that was sent to me. Strange things indeed they do happen in this world.